Baltimore, I like how they do this, had a 1% chance going into last night of making the playoffs. But as we know, the Cincinnati...
I would have put it way higher than that last night.
Yes. The Cincinnati Bengals are a team that's now been decimated by a far superior opponent last Sunday. Cleveland's garbage. I mean, they
with
got
that opponent's lucky charm in the stand.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was our rubbing off on the backup quarterback. The Steelers are very flawed. Do you like Baltimore winning that division?
I do. I think they're going to be 6-5 going into Thanksgiving. The Bengals are at least interesting because I think they're good enough offensively to tread water, and can they find a way to hit their stride defensively? They're playing some younger guys.
How hurt is the
Burrow,
pass rusher?
Hendrickson?
Yeah, Hendrickson has
I
a
think
hip.
he's going to be out for a while, a little bit. Like it's
Can they survive that?
And that's the question is like how much do you get out of Stewart now? So like there's moving parts with the Bengals where if they can just survive until the middle of December and they're at 6-7, 7-6, and like maybe 9 or 10 wins gets you in the playoffs, that'd be a dangerous team in the playoffs because of Burrow. So like it's just a matter of can they tread water for long enough? And you look at their schedule and they play the Ravens. I'm going to pull it up now, but they play the Ravens on December 14th, which is 3 months from Burrow's injury. After that Ravens game, at Dolphins, Cardinals, Browns. So, like, if they can get to 6 or 7 wins when Burrow is back, and Burrow is back for that Baltimore game, then they're in it. But the Ravens should be 6-5 going into Thanksgiving night against the Bengals, and I still think the Ravens felt this way internally. Like this was maybe one of the most talented rosters John Harbaugh's ever had. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's been there for almost 20 years. So, like, they are a dangerous team. And I think you saw the second half last night, like Lamar started to feel it a little bit and what they can be.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, is everything about Lamar, not just from his performance last night, but in terms of what he said, because he said after the game last night, in terms of coming back from the injury, he wanted to make sure he was ready, not just able to play, but back. Do you think what percentage is he
There's
at?
a little thing here that I think is interesting that I've heard philosophically over the last 4 or 5 years now with teams with mobile quarterbacks and teams with quarterbacks that run a lot. And there is some question now of the wear and tear on some of those guys. And what ends up happening over the course of time is if you get beat up, it can throw off your throwing mechanics. And there's at least a theory that's floating around out there that some of the guys that run a lot have struggled in the playoffs because their throwing mechanics are off. And so you get into a playoff setting where the windows are shorter, right? And you have to be more accurate. And now your mechanics are a little off, and it can kind of wreak havoc on you a little bit. And so, like, I think like teams that have quarterbacks that are playing in these offenses that are a little bit more based on the quarterback in the run game, like Baltimore, like Washington, are going to be a little bit more careful in bringing guys back from these sorts of injuries because they think it could affect them mechanically late in the year. And so I think that's a part of the equation here. Mm. I think for Baltimore, too, the other thing was because it's a hamstring, thinking that maybe can we get through the Chicago game? Can we find a way to scratch out a win against Chicago, which will allow us to avoid playing him twice in 5 days? Because that's the sort of injury, that can recur.
Gotcha.
And so for them, when they were looking at it, they're coming off their bye, and they're like, if we put him out there 2 times in 5 days and he tweaks it a little bit on Sunday, then do we have to sit him on Thursday and then we're right back into the same cycle again?
Right.
Let's just give him the extra days. We can fight through that Chicago game. We can find a way to win that one.
Or he might be okay in the first one, but he would tweak it 5 days later, and then you're really back to
and now you get it, and now you come out of the Miami game and you have 10 days.
And that's the problem with the hamstring is that it necessarily you could aggravate that at any time, and that's a concern with Jackson just in his career.
Yep,
that is I heard Kornheiser saying like he doesn't think he's as mobile as he used to be. I don't know if that's true. What do I know? But
years of punishment.
I know that. I just know a hamstring for a guy who's that fast is something that you got to worry about all the time. Like,
it's almost like your athleticism is like a detriment when you have that sort of injury because because like a guy like Lamar is so explosive that like he's more apt to tweaking it.
Absolutely, yeah, and he can cut so hard that like and that's what kind of makes that kind of damage. All right,
that was a good move there, by the way. I like that little shoulder shake you threw at me.
Yeah, I'm no stranger to evading.
Yeah,
I'm a big evader. You just see me on the streets. You know what I do now is jujitsu. Like every cool dude.
Guys your age really don't have to. All you need is Tai Chi. I don't know if you've seen this come up in your feed, but you can be ripped.
Apparently, Tai Chi like keeps you like alive when you get older. So if you don't think I'm doing Tai Chi, it's those slow movements, like those slow disciplined movements. It's not fighting; it's a solo activity.
Like, is that what you like see some people doing like in the park or like by the harbor?
Any patch
Boston,
of grass
right?
on a Saturday morning, just walk right by. You'll see a bunch of older people
You'll
doing
see
it.
like an Asian guy who's like 90 but looks like he's 70 and he weighs like a perfect weight and he's going to stay alive forever because he has the discipline of doing Tai Chi. I wouldn't be embarrassed to. I reach a certain age, I'm doing Tai Chi. I'm just telling you now.
Okay.
All right. So the Indianapolis Colts.
Yep.
Okay. They're 7-1. Are they a danger in the playoffs? Like, are the Colts for real?
Well, it depends on what you're talking about. Like, do I think they can win a game in the playoffs? I do. Like, I just think if you look at them, and I said this in the midday show yesterday, and this is a number I've thrown around a lot to people, but what's pretty crazy is last year they were 29th in the league in total defense, and they were 30th in giveaways. So they were turning the ball over more than almost anybody. They were playing worse defense than almost anybody. And they won 8 games. And so, like, I know having talked to those guys, in the offseason, they were like, if we can solve those two things, because we don't think, like, our talent is that bad on defense. We have players. If we can turn around those two things, then we're flying into the playoffs. And so they take care of the turnover issue by getting Daniel Jones and having him replace Anthony Richardson. And their whole thing, if you listen to them in the offseason, was like, I remember asking those guys, like, what's going to win the job in the competition? Who can put their hand at 10-2 and just drive the car, And they bring in Lou Anarumo as defensive coordinator, who'd been with the Bengals, who was very highly respected. And now all of a sudden, I think you're seeing, like, it's a pretty talented team. And I think their skill talent, like how balanced they are. They've got 3 really good receivers and Pierce, Downs, and of course Pittman. They have a tight end who I think is going to be one of the top 5 tight ends in the league in time, and Tyler Warren. They might have the best running back in football. They've got a really good offensive line. They've got one of the best defensive tackles in football. Like, this isn't like smoke and mirrors, is my point. Like, now, like, when it's toe-to-toe quarterback versus quarterback in Arrowhead in January, would I pick them to win? No. But, like, do I think they can win do I think they can, like, advance around in the playoffs? Yeah, I think they can advance around in the playoffs.
Well, if they get a bye, one win puts them in the AFC Championship game.
Right. Yeah, and they're playing the lowest seed.
Yeah.
They have the number 1 seed, so yeah.
All right.
I mean, I think the AFC is interesting because I do think you have Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City as still the teams that kind of managed the first 2 months of the season. And then you have the Chargers, who already fought through, like, tackle injuries. They're going to get Hampton back. Like, I think you've got a handful of teams in the AFC that have been kind of fumbling around a little bit that have a chance to really hit the gas, once we get past Thanksgiving.
I have a question. We were debating about Miami earlier, and Miami got stomped last night. They did beat Atlanta, but they got stomped the week before.
The owner left the game early.
Yeah, the owner left the game early. I keep waiting for Mike McDaniel to get fired. It hasn't happened, and the discussion in the room was, well, they are what they are. Firing them won't change anything, so maybe McDaniel's lasts the season. Do you think that'll happen, or what's Miami thinking?
I think it's really going to come down to the locker room, and whether or not he's lost the locker room. When I asked around about that, I was at a league meeting, week and a half ago, and I know just having talked to some people there, I think that's the big thing is like, do they feel like it's become toxic in there? And as much as I've heard this stuff, that that he isn't like the players aren't responding in the same way they were before. I don't think ownership thinks that he's lost the players yet. So I think we've been over that, right? Like where the real problem there is like 2 years ago when they still were really rolling. It was a very star-driven culture there. So like guys like Tyreek and Jalen Ramsey were sort of allowed to get away with whatever they wanted, and that rubbed some of the rank and file players the wrong way. But when you're winning, it's fine. When you aren't winning anymore, like that's where it becomes a problem for you. And I think last year it sort of became a problem for him, which is why they traded Ramsey away. Like even 2 years ago with Fangio as their defensive coordinator, like Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard had tuned Vic Fangio out to the point where they were sort of doing whatever the hell they wanted back there. You know what I mean? Like, so these issues have been festering for a while, and this would be a natural place to do it, to move on, because you do have the mini bye now coming out of the Thursday night game. There's another one, though, and that's in, what would it be, 16 days from now they play in Madrid.
Oh, that's the curse.
Over the Commanders.
Yes.
And they have the bye coming after that.
Oh, yes.
And this is something Steve Ross has actually done before. I think it was 10 years ago. They were coming back from London. They fired Joe Philbin.
Oh, I remember Philbin trying to give fives to his players coming off the field, and they ignored him.
And
remember
do you
that?
remember?
So you're getting fired on the plane, dude.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you
That's
remember
right.
who they turned to when they fired Joe Philbin?
It was Dan Campbell, wasn't it?
It was Dan Campbell.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
For all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.